Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Connected by Community. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Colancheco. With me is Cameron Cannon. And we have a wonderful guest, Troy Arnold with Pasta Guru.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, we usually just ask a little bit about yourself, your personal background, if you want to jump right in.
Oh, yes. So I'm from the upstate area, born and raised, and I've been here all my life, but I've traveled, went to school down in Francis Marion. And the reason I went down there is I wanted to be a doctor, and oddly enough, I'm not a doctor, and that's okay. And now I'm a chef. And so I'm doing what I love, my passion, and it's great.
So how was that transition from being a doctor to a chef?
So growing up, you kind of figure out like, I want to help the world somehow. And mine was, I wanted to be a doctor. I come from having cancer when I was younger. So I was around that community for so long, and I was like, I want to give back. So I you set your goals, make a path to do that, and ended up going down there, pursuing the doctor dream and pre-meds and all that stuff, and realizing while I was there, that's not what I wanted to do. Don't get me wrong, people who could do it, great. Y'all are great individuals. But I realized I wanted to cook. I've always had a passion. I've been doing this since I was 13. So I had the great opportunity to come back home and tell my parents that I do not want to be a doctor and I want to be a chef. And my stepfather was like, well, that's a waste of money. And then my mom's like, because she's a teacher, she was like, well, you're going to have to go back to school for that. And so I was like, more school. But I ended up going back, and I was working in the industry. So I was working downtown and going to Greenville Tech at the same time. So I was a sous chef and a student. And it all came more natural to me. I didn't have to struggle or study for certain things. And I think the hardest class, honestly, was probably bake shop. And because everything's like meticulous, and if you have 1 gram off, it can mess up the whole recipe. But besides that, that's where it got to me, where I want to be a chef, and I love it. I haven't changed since.
So what? I was gonna say, so how'd you go from obviously went from a doctor to a chef, and now you're the pasta guru. So how, I guess, talk about that transition from just kind of your run of the mill chef to kind of having a specialty.
That was going to be my exact question.
Yeah.
So,
So again, we're always trying to figure out our place in life and where do we fit in an industry. You may have this passion to be a chef, but in the food and bev industry, where do you actually fit in? So I found that out as I was, growing up in the industry. So I was working at the Lazy Goat at the time. I was the sous chef.
Great restaurant.
Thanks.
I'm a big fan of Lazy Goat. Yeah.
Table 31 has great restaurants, and they've helped groom and grow people. But I was there, and believe it or not, I used to suck at pasta. As the sous chef, you're expected to know every trick of the trade, but you're still learning. It's like a weird interim level, and it's kind of like the pre-med. You're trying to be a doctor, but you're not there yet. But you have residencies, so you're doing different things. But I'm learning, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get down pasta. I just couldn't do it. Like, I could make the dough. I think it was more of a time frame for me. And once I realized and took a step back from the Lazy Goat, I actually took a step back. My stepfather had passed at the time. So I kind of drew back in and trying to hone in my skills, and I got a hold of a pasta machine, just a sheeter, nothing fancy. I'm like, I'm going to get this down. So I practice, my friends, my family, we had to eat pasta because I got to figure this out. So over the time, from being there to traveling to Charleston, I lived in Charleston for a few years. And while I was down there, I was learning how to make pasta down there. And that's a whole different ball game, not just feeding the people, but temperature wise. I've never had pasta dough melt before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
just because of the heat there.
The humidity will cause the dough to just go. You're just like taking Play-Doh and putting it out in the hot sun. That's exactly how I can explain it.
Never thought about that.
So I'm a certified pasta eater.
Okay.
Coming from, I just made that up. Just coming from an Italian family.
Oh yeah,
I
great
eat a
credentials.
lot of pasta.
Yeah.
Eat a lot of pasta. And I remember my mom telling me stories of my great grandmom of, you know, right in the kitchen, rolling pasta, making homemade pasta for Sunday dinners. And so we have some samples of pasta here. Why don't you go ahead and dive in? What do you have in front of us?
So we have 3 different shapes. So this is from the extruded line. This is Cresta Gallo, and Cresta Gallo is crest of the rooster. So if you look at it, it looks like macaroni curve-wise, but you'll see a wiggly wave up top. That's the crest. A radiatori is, it looks like a radiator.
Huh.
And I really can't remember why.
It's all right.
But it's called Little Bells. And I'll remember the name in just like 2 seconds.
No, you're good.
But each shape has a meaning. It holds a certain sauce. But
So which one's your favorite of the 3?
my favorite is the Cresta Gallo.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that one looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
So right now, are you doing private showings, teaching? Let's talk about what is Pasta Guru. What are you working
So
towards?
Pasta Guru, essentially, the idea was to just be distribution, just to make a dried product, fresh dried product, and sell to restaurants and sell to retail here and there. But the more we kind of looked at the market and seeing what's out there, we've kind of turned more back to the private catering aspect of, hey, let's offer in-home caterings of Italian night, of how to make pasta, because making pasta by hand is a lost art. And again, these pastas are from a machine, an extruding machine, and the ingredients are very simple: flour and water. But now we're going to the artisan side where we're making things by hand. So pappardelle, agnolottis, raviolis, tortellinis are all done by hand, and it's a different type of dough. It requires eggs. Sometimes some require white wine, and people do not know that how was the intricacy of doughs. Even we actually offer ramen in our mix of being Pasta Guru. Ramen dough itself is a form of pasta, if you will, the Asian form. And it's a beautiful thing because it's very temperamental. It does the same thing. It's literally having what you have in your area and making it to something. And it's great.
That's pretty neat. So I guess how did you fall in love with pasta? I know you said you were at the Lazy Goat and struggled with it a little bit, so you wanted to practice it. Is it kind of like it was your arch enemy and you practiced it so much that you just kind of fell in love with the game of it, or?
Yes, it was a love-hate relationship. And once I moved to Charleston and realized I had something, is when one of the big restaurants, I was just working at a small restaurant, and I just posted something on Instagram, and it's crazy how social media works. And I saw them copy my stuff, and I was like, oh, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen it in the area. And I like infusing colors. We with our eyes first. So besides these colors, like I was doing a ravioli for Christmas, and I was doing red and green, combining them together.
That's neat.
It's a beautiful thing when you just bring all those colors together. And they're still flavorful. So again, I don't use any dyes besides natural, like beets and spinach and stuff like that. So that's how I knew I had something, and I was trying to figure out how to really hone it in and make it my own. So when I was down there, I was working around doing what I was doing best, making pasta. And then my mother passed away while I was down there. And that was a very tough time. I was in a transition, and I was trying to really figure out what is my passion, like what makes me happy. Pasta is my therapy. And that's where I got to be Pasta Guru. I'm at peace with myself. And if literally I have a pasta room in my house, literally it's like, that's where I escape to roll pasta, to practice and perfect my art, and it helps clear my thoughts. And now I get to do it every day, and I get to clear my thoughts. It helps. Like, let me just go to the pasta room real quick and relax.
So what's the vision down the line for Pasta Guru?
So the vision down the line is to continue selling these products, whether it's at market or at a storefront. We plan to provide the same catering service and also have a restaurant. I would love to restaurant or food truck, something that can provide a service. Like if it's a food truck, we would do more extruded, kind of quick stuff. You know, you're at the job, you want to get some pasta real quick, but you don't want to wait in a long line or sit down formally. Like, I just want some meatballs and and let's go. In a restaurant, I really want to showcase the artisan side. So there will be no machinery. Everything's done by hand. You'll see people making the pasta and understanding that the intricacy of making it. So, for example, for Euphoria that's coming up, we calculated I'm making 125 pounds of pasta dough to feed 1,000 people.
Wow. What, like, I guess how much more time consuming is it to, you know, literally do everything by hand, by scratch versus, you know, using a machine that kind of helps out?
Well,
I guess walk us through the process of, you know, from scratch, you're just kind of making the dough.
He's trying to figure out.
Because I suck at cooking. My wife's going to see
He's trying to figure out how he could impress his wife. That's really what he's trying to.
Well, I was probably just going to buy some of these and take them home and be like, babe, I rolled this from hand. I did really well.
Well, you hire us. We come in. We can like mingle. We always entertain while we cook. So that's the best part. So the start to finish kind of aspect. So with the extrusion is simple flour and water. There's different hydration levels of how you want to do it. If you want the pasta to be more consistent of wet sand, or you want it to be more elasticity, so you add more water. But the hand roll stuff, and as you know, here we go, is the well. When you make pasta dough, you create a mound or punch. A punch is a flour about the size of your hand. Put it in there, drop your eggs, make a well. And you mix flour and water and whatever ingredients, but it's typically eggs, egg yolks, flour, salt, and you just mix and you just knead by hand. The calluses on my hand are from kneading with a wooden board that has been warped because I'm using that same spot like a nana or a grandma would do. And you just work it, and then you take the time to let it rest, and then you can go from making farfalle, which is bow tie, as we know, to making cavatelli, to gnocchi. Gnocchi's more potato style. You have gnudi will fall under that kind of realm of different stuff, but that's all different artisan stuff that you can have and eat forever. But it's literally you have to work the dough, and but you can overwork it. As I mean, you think about you working out a muscle, you can strain that muscle to the point of where it breaks and it doesn't hold. Now you got to sit there and recover.
Yeah, that's my problem. I've been recovering for about 3 years now, I think. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
And gnocchi's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
We call them gavadils in Philadelphia, but gnocchi's one of my favorite.
Yes. We're actually, we do a potato gnocchi, and then we do a ricotta. And so there's different variations. We're playing with the sweet potato. We can do it, but again, most people don't know when you add sweet potato to making gnocchi, yes, it is a form of starch or form of potato. It has more moisture. And that recipe has to be changed comparatively.
Well, I'm actually really, really interested. So talk about, I know you said you're going to do some catering stuff, eventually a storefront, being a restaurant. For some of the stuff that you're doing now where like it's the in-home, or like if there's a couple families that want a pasta night, I guess, can you talk us through what that looks like, what the cost is maybe, and kind of how to get a hold of you guys for that as well?
So we're on Instagram. We're working up our website. We're planning to launch that in October. And pretty much as simply as just calling us, reaching out, and we'll sit down and have a discussion just like this. Like, what are you looking for? Are you want to be hands-on? Do you want to just say there's people making pasta in the next room? Or is it a ladies' wine night kind of thing, like wine and dine? I mean, it's kind of very customizable. So it's what do you want to experience? Do you want to learn to make pasta so you can make it for the family? Like a lot of people don't know how to make lasagna, and you'd be like, oh yeah, you can just buy a box and put meat.
Me, I don't know how to make it.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. But I mean,
we are down south though, so in fairness, I don't know if there's many folks that.
I mean, I grew up on Stouffer's lasagna.
Oh yeah.
That was literally my favorite. And then I start making my own, and I'm like, oh, I really want to eat this, but I can't. I just
missed out.
Yeah, but no. So we talk about that, and again, it's all very interactive. I can be engaging with you and the guests as much as you want me to just being the guy fly on the wall, just making pasta. Either way, I'm in my therapy, and I love it. People watching interaction, and then seeing that you've created something and you get to eat it and it's edible. It's just a great experience.
That's awesome. What about like cost wise? I guess how does that differ? It just depends on how many people you're feeding.
It depends on the cost, depending on the people. It depends on the ingredients to a certain level. But we always try to make it affordable. Where again, you got to realize pasta it can be fancy, but it's still a at home product. It's a comfort food. It's grandma, mom used to make it all the time for the family. So why not make it for the family? Like it's a affordable catering experience, if you will.
Awesome.
Now you do cater bigger parties if, I got family in town and I need to have some food catered. You do bigger catering events?
Yes, actually. Speaking of, we're actually putting on after Euphoria. September is a very busy month, but after Euphoria, we're putting on a big event that's not pasta related, but we're doing Farm to Feast out in Fountain Inn at Barefoot Acres, and it will be whole cows, pigs, alligator, fish. It'll be outdoor cooking the Southern way, if you will.
Wow, I'm interested in that.
Yeah. But so we offer more than just that, and we can handle the masses. We kind of treat it like one person can cook for up to, like one chef, I'll say, could cook up to 20 to 35 people. And then so more chefs you add or more cooks you add can help out with that. But for the most part, yeah, cooking for the masses is actually easier. I mean, when I was learning how to cook, I worked at a camp that fed 1,000 campers plus staff. And so when I came back home and tried it, I'm like, hey, I learned how to make shepherd's pie. And there's only 4 of us. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to cook for 4 people. Can we do like 50? I can probably figure out these numbers. But no, it's the more people, the better. Because, I mean, again, we're a community and we like food. Families love food. That's what brings us together.
I love food. Yeah. I love pasta too. It's so good. I used to not eat pasta when I was growing up. As a little kid, I was like super picky. And then I started dating my wife, or my now wife. And she was like, no, you gotta try. 'Cause she's like a pasta freak. And I finally had it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going back. This is awesome. So now I eat it way too much.
You could tell I eat pasta. So by just looking at me,
it helps out with the skin.
Yeah. Helps out with everything. The mood, the happiness.
So we have a signature question we typically ask.
Okay.
What makes you tick?
What makes me tick? Ooh. Besides the love of pasta? Yeah. No. So I guess what makes me tick is just getting up and enjoying life, because life is too short. Again, I've been in the hustle bustle of food and bev for so long, and then realizing things can change in a heartbeat. And having a passion for what you do. And that passion does not necessarily have to be a business. It could just be a hobby. That alone will get you up. That alone will be like, hey, I have an idea. Let me just go tinker with it. Whether it's like, hey, I can go tinker on the car. I can go tinker in the yard, something. That alone gets me going is great. Like I have dogs that I love too. I have Great Danes. So besides pasta and Great Danes, I mean, I don't know how that works together in the business somehow, but
it's working.
Yeah, I love, that's what gets me up. I just love just living life now and taking it one day at a time and not for granted.
Awesome. Well, I guess tell our audience and our community, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way if maybe they wanted to cater an event, or even you have, come in their house and do like a little family meal?
Okay. So again, the website will be launching in October. So it's pastagurugvl.com. And we're on Instagram. We don't have a Facebook. We're on social media. And we have our business numbers will be on the website and on Instagram. So feel free to message. It goes directly to my phone, so you're not going to be like automated message. So we'll have those very interactive. I make it very personal because no one wants to be on hold or
talking to a robot.
Like come in, let's sit down, let's have a round table. I'll meet you for coffee. Let's talk about this, whatever you want. And then for once we get into the wholesale of selling products or just distribution in general, we plan to have an online service of you put in what you want and you can pick it up, whether it's dried, fresh, artisan, or whatever you would like. For our pasta related, we even will do a chevrolet sausage. It's one of my favorites. I learned it from a little Italian guy, older. His name's Mario, so it made it even better. But you do this exact way, and I have not changed the recipe since then, and that's been over 8 years ago.
Wow!
So I'm like, this is the way he taught me. I don't want to mess it up. There's a lot on the line for you, but yeah. So if there's something that I don't know, I will find out, and to know, or whether it's someone I can reach out to, but we try to stick authentic to the Italian way, to pasta, and even Southern roots.
Awesome.
So, great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I love pasta. I'll probably be reaching out.
Oh yeah.
100%. Thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Connected by Community, brought to you by Ballantine Capital Advisors. Like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social media platforms, all the podcast platforms. Give us a listen. Reach out to Troy if you have any pasta needs. Till we see you next time, go make our community great.